I opened my eyes one morning at 4:30 a.m. fully awake with a heart racing. I let out a heavy groan and I was broke. I did not have enough money to buy food for my kids, let alone pay school fees for them. I had worked on several projects and every client of mine had just failed to pay for one reason or another. They normally say that sometimes problems come like a bunch of bananas, not singly. I was broke, angry, and effectively in a huge slump. Unmotivated, I don't want to get up and so on. The feeling inside of me was of anger, was of shame, contrition, helplessness. The body felt as dense in weight as lead, and I never wanted to get out of bed and face the day. There was no inspiration whatsoever. There was no motivation whatsoever. And the danger, friends, is our silent interpretations. Because I'm speaking this because of the greatest danger that a moment like that poses to any visionary. We might experience such moments of a slump, such moments of brokenness, such moments of brokenness, and lack of inspiration from time to time. But the danger is what our silent interpretations will render to us. Internally, there is a voice that is judging us and labeling us. That we are losers, we are useless, we are worthless, we will never amount to anything, we are poor, it's always going to be this way and downwards. In the podcast today, I want to start discussing something that is simple, that I've titled the 6 easy ways to overcome a broke moment. And I want us to discuss this in the next 6 days or so and see how we can be able to rise up in those moments that we face from time to time. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the Life Signatures podcast with Lawrence Namale. Lawrence is a life coach, author, and keynote speaker who loves to tackle different topics on purpose, productivity, and resilience. His mission in life is to awaken all your boundless possibilities available in you. Life Signatures podcast is dedicated to bring to reality every single person who knows that deep down in their gut, there's got to be more to life than this. And now, here is your host, Lawrence Namale.
If you've been alive for a while, you are sure that what I'm talking about is something that you faced one day or another. And by the way, we live in such a way that we want to escape such moments. We live in such a way that we are looking for certainty, we're looking for abundance, we're looking for joy, we're looking for comfort, we're looking for motivation, inspiration. But the thing is that those things are not a given. They are not things that will be happening to us every waking day. At times we face this slump that we need to wake ourselves up from it. We go through a situation where there is this danger that spells as if the rest of our lives are going to stay like that, and we don't like that feeling. We don't like that feeling of overwhelm, that feeling of a slump, that great feeling of discouragement, as if the whole wide world is hanging upon your shoulders. But I realize that it is not necessarily a reality, it's normally an illusion. The biggest effect on you is what you're feeling at that moment. See, chances are that you might be feeling that you're a poor person. Chances are that you might be feeling you're a worthless person, and the evidence is unquestionable at that particular moment in time. You cannot do this, you cannot do that, you cannot do this. I mean, there is no doubt about that. You are stuck, you're in a slump, and the feeling of worthlessness emanates from the evidence there. You might be feeling insignificant, goes without saying. You might be feeling like you do not matter at all because you are broke, because you are unmotivated, because there's nothing to show off your life at that instance, at that moment in time. And probably it is something that has been building on and on and on and on, from one discouragement moment to the next and to the next and to the next. It is so interesting how you can interpret a situation, a moment in time, a snapshot in time, how you can interpret it, or let me just say misinterpret it, and it has a major impact and a major influence on how your life is going to turn out. See, the greatest mistake that I could have done that particular day was to accept the invitation in my heavy heart to stay in the house and to turn from one side of the bed to the other like a door on its hinges. I would have hastened the process of feeling worthless, feeling insignificant, and feeling like I don't matter, and chances are that I would have felt and become worthless that particular day. But in a split second, I learned something. Let me tell you, there's something that happens in our minds in a split second that has a potential of affecting not only the rest of the day, not only the rest of the month, but even the rest of our lives. A split second of decision making, it is something that is absolutely powerful. I encourage myself to get out of bed, kick the blankets out, go finish something, or go start something, or just make something happen. Just be in motion, just do something. Don't sit there and accept the feelings. And I know when you're seated there and you're accepting the feelings, it can be heavy. And just the thought of getting out, it looks like it's a big thing to do. It's like you're up against climbing Mount Everest. But I promised myself that day that I will not dress down. In fact, I promised myself that I will dress up. I will put on my absolute best, and I'll look like I'm someone important. And that particular week I had been, dressing casually, but this day I decided I'm going to look like an absolute CEO who knows where he's going, who knows what he's doing. And indeed, when it comes to push comes to shove, where the rubber meets the road, I am someone important. I am a CEO of my own destiny. In fact, the title I normally use on these episodes, on this podcast, is Self-Executive Officer. I am someone important. You are someone important. And a moment of slump doesn't negate that fact, doesn't take away from my essence, doesn't take away from my identity, doesn't take away from my purpose, doesn't take away from my pursuits. It's just a moment of a low, it's a moment of a slump. And as I did what I did that day, the day started falling right into place. Did the money come immediately? No. Did the things started moving? Was I able to start paying bills? No. But my mentality was revitalized that moment. That is how I was able to overcome that momentary slump. Now, I'm emphasizing the word momentary because if you're not careful, you can keep yourself in that situation for actually a longer time than necessary. And that slump could have eaten away on my contribution on the face of the earth. That day could have been wasted. And it's easy, but because there are very many days that I've wasted in that way, where you feel unmotivated, you feel uninspired, you feel like a slump, you feel like things are not moving, things are not happening, there are bills piling up and there's no income coming in, there are no projects coming in, there are no projects that are going out. It's basically there's nothing important going on. And you can feel like a failure, and you can go ahead and you can waste a particular day. And the problem is this, that there's something called momentum, and momentum doesn't care whether it's a negative or it's positive. It is always going to be a force, because what happens today is basically a contributory factor to what is going to happen tomorrow. It is a foundation, it's a breeding ground for tomorrow. We're either preparing ourselves one way positively or the other for tomorrow. Today is going to feed into tomorrow, whether you like it or not, unless you rise up and intentionally break that negative momentum. See, the following day is as a result of today. And don't you ever take for granted that moment, that split second of decision making where you are deciding, hey, regardless of what I'm facing today, I am going to do at least what is in my power. There's that thing about what is in your power, what is in your control. It's amazing that sometimes we get destabilized and we get paralyzed because of the feeling of the things that are not in our control. And we dwell on the things that are not in our control to the expense of the things that are within our control. And the thing is that probably what is within our control does not give us immediate feedback, immediate payment, immediate rewards. And what is outside of our control is what gives us immediate feedback, immediate payment, immediate results. Like the client who owes you money, it is not in your control. When they pay you, it is immediate. That is not in your control at the moment. But you see, it can affect you by paralyzing you where you're seated there waiting for this client to move. One of my mentors, Mike Murdoch, says that there is nothing as torturous as waiting for someone else to change so that you can succeed. What we need to identify in this momentary slump, in this moment of foreboding, moment of feeling like we're useless, is for just going ahead of myself to notice that we cannot use the illusion that has been generated from that feeling to make a decision about our identity, about who we are. Yes, it is a moment of a slump. It is a moment of lack. It is a moment of brokenness. But that is not destiny. It is uncomfortable. Yes, we know it is uncomfortable. It's not fun to be there. But that again is not my identity. It is not my destiny. And two, it is easy for me to feel paralyzed because of the things that are outside of my control. I cannot change that person. I cannot change circumstances and situations that are outside of my control. But I can use that, unfortunately, to feel powerless and to feel paralyzed. And therefore, I remain in the bed and I do absolutely nothing. And the day gets wasted. And it builds into the following day and the following day. And like I've warned you in this podcast, it only takes 3 days of doing something consecutively to start solidifying it, especially in the mentality and in the mind, and to make an aura as if it's a mainstay in life. And so if you think you are useless for 3 consecutive days and the evidence physically it's there is no money, especially in this day and age where we are having a lockdown left, right and center. There is no food, there is no money, there is no this and there is no that. It is easy to actually cement that feeling. It is a feeling and it's an illusion, by the way. It's easy to cement that illusion and that feeling to become a reality, and you start operating upon it. You shrink back from life, you start feeling insignificant, and the moment you start feeling insignificant, you start behaving insignificant, and before long, before you know it, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So we need to identify how we can be able to get out and snap out of this slump, because it's a dangerous thing. And what I've said in this podcast today is that you can easily use a split second. Now, listen very carefully. That split second is not a split second of inspiration. It is not a split second of motivation. It's not a split second where you feel this surge, this urge, this ardent, positive feeling to do something. No, it is simply a moment of decision. A moment of decision that says, I'm not going to wait until I feel good, until the coast is clear, until the environment around me has been changed. But I'm going to rise up right about now and do anything that is within my control. Why are you doing that? You're doing that so that you can get some form of momentum going, because what you need is momentum. And guess what? Momentum is already in place, the negative one. What you need to do is to snap out of it and start building a positive momentum and start following through it. So in the next episodes, I'm going to start sharing what are some of the things that you and I can be able to do in order to increase our chances of getting out of a slump or getting out of a broke moment strong and healthy and consistent and being actually in control of our own destinies. The thing is, even when the environment outside is dark and there's nothing you can do about it, the environment within is something that is always going to be within our control. Until tomorrow, bye-bye. A special shout out to my mentor Jeffrey Howard of Visionary Business University, found at mastermindmentor.com, who has graciously provided me with the soundtrack and the introductory track to this podcast. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you for listening to Life Signatures Radio. If you enjoyed today's show, subscribe to Life Signatures Radio on iTunes, Stitcher, or visit our website at lifesignatures.libsyn.com. Life Signatures Radio, fresh, clean, and inspiring.